Today is Wednesday, November 15th, 2017. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of Survivor Season 35, Episode 8.
This episode was titled Playing with the Devil. That was spoken by Joe. We get that pretty early on in the episode.
Very early on.
Well, if you're a first-time listener, which does happen, we get contacted by people who haven't heard from us or have just started listening to the podcast. We do 3 episodes a week when Survivor's airing. We do a recap, we do an interview, which hopefully we'll get out tomorrow with Desi, and then we do a listener feedback show on Saturdays where we turn it over to you. So this is our first sequence in each cycle of Survivor, is that Joanne and I do a recap. We paint the big broad strokes and get some discussion in there and hopefully prime the pump with some questions for the listener feedback show. And get started?
Sure.
Previously on Survivor, after the merge, Cole wanted to gain the upper hand, but the heroes and the hustlers had a different plan. They came together. Joe thought he was going to save himself by playing the idol, but the real target was Jessica, and boom, she's gone.
Night 19, back from Tribal. Joe did not see that vote coming.
Nope. And this is when we got our title. He congratulated them for amazing play, and then in his confessional, he said, now you're playing with the devil. Yeah.
Well, at least he congratulated them on good play.
Cole told us when he got back to camp that now he knows what it feels like being lied to. Really, Cole. As much lying as you've already done in the game up to this point there on night 19. But, okay.
And Ben tells us that one individual could mess things up.
You know what really struck me at this point, too, was that Ben said in a confessional that he and Lauren put together that play.
To get Jessica?
Yeah. So
they made it look like Chrissy said Jessica.
Well, I think if you go back, you can hear someone say Jess before Chrissy sort of locks in and really fills in the blank spots of the plan. She tells the story, but I don't know if it was Devon or if it was Ben, but somebody called out Jess, and then, the story went from there. But it was interesting to have Ben say that he and Lauren are the ones who basically were the source of Jessica being gone. And he very well thought that he was, and maybe he was, and it just got presented to us in a slightly different way. But that was interesting to see that. It certainly caught my attention because it was different than what I expected, I guess.
And someone finally finds the advantage.
Yep, it's day 20. Mike tells us when he woke up that morning, it felt like the end of the world. But then Lauren ends up finding a clue, and she feels like her game is hit a whole nother gear now.
So what the advantage is if she doesn't vote on this at the next tribal council, she gets to take a parchment and have 2 votes at some later date.
Yeah, so instead of just straight up giving her 2 votes or allowing her to steal one from someone else or whatever, they've added yet another twist, so she gets to put one in the bank, basically, that she can use at a later date.
And even though she didn't have to play it or lose it that night, she had to decide.
Sure, yeah. Every point would be a decision, but yeah. Can you think of any reason why you wouldn't want to go ahead and bank it so that you had it?
Because she could have lost favor with Ben because he wanted her to go ahead and vote. Mm-hmm. Or even use the 2 votes to get them what they wanted.
So, like, if you felt like your game was in jeopardy, you might forego going ahead and taking it.
Yes.
So it was interesting, too, that she had to work out how to actually pull it off. She had to put the secret advantage information into the voting urn and then save a copy of one of the voting parchments.
She did that beautifully, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think a woman had an advantage there too, because she
no.
we'll get to that. I want to talk a little more about that when we get there. Okay, so basically it cuts to commercial after she explains how the secret advantage is going to work. So we had that all wrong. We thought someone else was going to find it, but that was a fun surprise to see Lauren, and it's like it re-energized her game in my eyes. So she seemed to be flagging after that last episode and was banking on the wrong alliance. But Ben tells us that was their plan, and boom, she's got a secret advantage. Okay, this is a 2-day cycle this time, only 2 days elapse. And this is day 20, so she finds a secret advantage and goes to an award/reward challenge. So they got to get through an obstacle course up to some high platforms where they got slingshots set up. They're going to pick teams, 2 different teams competing against each other, and they use the slingshots to hit, 5 targets?
Yeah.
You hit the target and the flag pops up from the impact.
Now, there was an extra video they released showing the first 5 people voted off got to come back in with the dream team and run this challenge.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was a nice difference, and I guess it gave them something to do.
Poor Allie and
Jessica.
Jessica didn't get to.
Right. They must have been prepping this challenge before they actually showed up, or maybe they drew straws because they only needed 5. Yeah. Okay, so the reward is that you're going to get to go to a private island, and Probst tells them that there'll be spaghetti and salad and red wine. There's a twist.
Bread.
Yeah, and bread. But there's a twist that he's going to drop on them at the end. And then the odd person, since they've got 11, gets to automatically go and eat. And then there's a twist with that person, too.
Yeah, there were a lot of little twists.
Yeah, they're juicing it up everywhere.
Doesn't get to go.
Doesn't get any food, yeah.
Doesn't have the opportunity to go, or they have them pick a tribe.
Right.
Who do you think's going to win? But
this one, the odd person out automatically gets to go to the reward.
And the 2 teams were JP, Chrissy, Cole, Ryan, and Devon, and Ben, Mike, Lauren, Ashley, and Desi.
Yeah, so it kind of seemed a little unbalanced, right?
I thought so at first, but then when I looked at that, I thought, well, shoot, Ryan is, and Mike, I think, are equivalent. And all Lauren, Ashley, and Desi are really strong women. So I thought, well, I don't know that the guys are that much stronger than them for something like this.
Yeah.
So I thought they were more balanced than I initially thought.
Yeah, but JP, he's got the slingshot thing down at this point. They had a requirement that everybody had to go once, right? And then after that, you could just depend on some specific person.
Well, Chrissy and Ryan both just kind of threw it and
as fast as they could, got out of there.
Yeah, they basically got out of the way because everybody, I think, is probably stronger than Chrissy.
I don't know that Ryan is. She might outweigh him.
I don't think so. She's a lot shorter. Anyway, what'd you think about the challenge?
It was okay. Once JP got it going with him and Devon, that they just sort of ran through it. It seemed close for a little while, so there was some good drama. I always like the slingshot challenges. There's some skill involved in that, but you get someone like JP, and it's like almost like an unfair advantage. He really had it dialed in.
I don't know. Ben was pretty good.
Ben missed a lot until he didn't, so we didn't necessarily see that with JP. And then, JP and Devon finish it off. JP gets 3, Devon, I think, got 2 for the blue team.
Well, it was a 3-3 tie at one point, so I didn't know who was going to win.
Yeah, I was surprised. Ben, Lauren, and Mike got one. Yeah. And then they kind of stalled out. Okay, and then Probst drops the twist on them. It's going to be a family style where there's one large portion and one person only can eat. They have to eat in private.
One at a time.
Yeah.
And that Joe gets to decide the order.
Yeah, for who goes when. Interesting.
I really didn't like that. I did that. Just didn't. You loved it, but that didn't sit good with me.
No? What was it specifically that bothered you?
I don't know. I just thought that was wrong.
It's not fair.
It's just not right.
Not fair.
I just didn't like it. I thought, well, I certainly hope they don't let Cole go first. Because he'll eat everything.
Right.
But,
well, we'll talk about that in just a second.
Were you surprised at the order that Joe chose and that he put himself last? Because there was
he told us right before they left that he wanted to leverage this. They had a quick confessional after Probst explained how it was all going to work and before they dropped him off on the island. And he said he wanted to leverage this opportunity and he wanted to make some connections. So I was curious what he thought he was going to tap back into, how he was going to do it.
He's been working Devon a little. So.
Well, I tell you, here's a good thing that he at least paid attention to or got. He knew that day was Devon's birthday.
Exactly.
And so he sent Devon first, and then he offered to send himself last. Usually doesn't get you anything. And with the way Joe manages himself, typically, I guess I was surprised that he went last.
Yeah, me too.
Given how he normally manages himself, and he's all about causing people to get angry and lose their focus, but that just leaves them feeling angry at you. So why not go ahead and make sure that you got fed instead of taking the risk that someone like Cole's going to empty the plate ahead of you? But it turned out Devon, he owned it. He said he probably ate a little bit too much, and then they showed us that Devon missed the clue that was in the bottom of the plate where the spaghetti was sitting.
Mm-hmm.
And he did something that I just hate, and I've always thought that's going to really bug me if I ever get out there. He was talking with food in his mouth. That just drives me nuts when people do that or chew with their mouth open. And he was doing that. It's like, my new USB eats with his mouth open and talks with his...
Oh, is that who you chose?
Yeah. I tried to stay with my strategy, the one that worked for me last season, which is the winners come from the middle. Who's the middle? And I think Devon's the middle.
And how did you finish last season?
I did really well.
Work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did really well.
All right. I can't
Did you
remember.
forget? Okay.
No, I don't remember.
Mm-hmm. So Devon goes first, JP went next, and then Cole. And he tells us that he thinks JP and Devon ate more than they should have, but he's going to do the same thing. And surprisingly, he notices the clue. So Devon and JP ate enough so that Cole realized there was a clue to where a hidden immunity idol was hidden back at camp, written on the bottom of that plate.
Well, it looked like there was no more meat left on the spaghetti by the time Chrissy got there.
Yeah.
Or just a dab.
Right.
So, anyway, I hated to see that Cole found that. I'm not a Cole fan.
No, me neither, but I did like that he tried to hide it a little bit. He didn't take it quite far enough. And then I love that Chrissy was sharp enough to know to look and was searching everywhere. Yeah. And then she basically blew right through Cole's attempt to hide it.
But who serves spaghetti on the top
cloth?
Yeah.
Well, they're in Fiji. Maybe they do things different in a different part of the world.
No.
Well, it didn't stop Chrissy. She found it too.
She looked.
But Ryan topped them all. He found it too, and he had the good sense to hide the plate.
Even though there was only Joe left.
Yep. Still, you don't want Joe knowing that for sure.
Yeah. If Cole was smart, that's what he would have done.
Smarter, yes.
Well.
Yep. Okay, so Ryan hid the plate, and Joe went last, and there wasn't much left when Ryan was there, so there had to be just barely a bite or two for Joe at that point.
Poor Joe.
I don't know. Sometimes you reap what you sow. Joe hadn't been planting a really good garden from what we've been able to see. He's been planting a rotten garden.
That's true. Well, maybe he gained some favor later in the game.
Doubtful.
Well, you don't know because now he's been working Devon, and we'll talk about it more next time on, but I don't know. There may be some cracks.
Okay. How smart is it to talk about the clue right there?
Stupid again, Chrissy.
You got Cole and then Chrissy laying beside Cole, so they're all laying in the sand after they've eaten.
But Chrissy's whispering. Nobody can hear her.
No one can hear her. And then there's Ryan, and Cole busts them immediately.
Well, and obviously he couldn't hear what she was saying, but the fact that they were whispering...
That was all he needed.
That's all he needed.
Right. And he says that he'll have no trouble pushing them out of the way to get that hidden immunity idol. And Ryan tells us he's biding his time. And they get back to camp, and they're telling people about the reward, which is always a tricky thing. People will invariably ask, maybe just being polite, or maybe because they want to punish themselves and hear what the food reward was like. But they start going over it, and Ryan's just hoping, trying to figure out when he's going to make a break for it to go dig for the idol. And Cole gives him the opportunity. Ryan tells us that he went off to relieve himself. So Ryan
But I
moseys down there.
Cole to mosey that way.
Yeah, we
And
thought
he probably
that
was.
that's what was going to happen. He was going to circle back that way maybe after he took care of that. And from the next time on Survivor, it made you think that Chrissy was first on the scene, but that didn't actually turn out to be the case. It actually was Ryan.
No.
Not only was Ryan first on the scene, yeah, you were really happy about your USB at this point.
I was. I thought, you go, Ryan.
He got down there and he got it, and he seemed him. It appeared, even though JP walked up on him, that he was able to hide it, and JP didn't see it.
Clueless.
Right.
Completely.
So Chrissy realizes Ryan's down there. She goes down there to join him, and Ryan quickly says, "Hey, cover that up."
I got it.
Yeah, I got it.
I don't think
Cover
she heard that
up.
he got it.
Maybe not, given what he said later, right? Because I thought she did. I thought she was really putting on an act for the fake out at this point.
Yeah, I kind of think she didn't hear it, and just
so
told her she thought he meant go for it or something.
Yeah, it's quite a commotion, and of course, like we saw next time on Survivor, Ben comes down, and they end up tussling with Cole, and Cole's saying they're going to rip his arms off or whatever, and
Chaos ensues.
Ryan tells us that it's chaos, but that he's got the idol in his little pink shorts while this is all happening. So he's just standing back observing it. That explains why he was standing back not doing anything.
Yep.
Yeah, and Ben thinks when he sees Cole tuck his shirt in that Cole must have gotten the idol, so he goes ahead and lays that on him.
Yeah, Ben was so adamant. He was just sure he
Ben
saw
tells
it.
Cole when they walk back up to the camp there that probably wasn't the smartest thing to do there, bud. And Ben tells us in a quick confessional that he's got no problem blowing up Cole's game at this point.
And Cole tells us, I need to win the immunity challenge.
I'll bluff that I have the idol, but I really need to win immunity. I had Cole going home, so I was really hoping he didn't win the immunity at this point.
I went with that too, even though I had said to you, I have just this gut feeling that Desi's going to go. But I couldn't justify that in any way, shape, or form in my mind why they would do that. So I went with Cole. So
yeah, and we were left wondering as they cut to commercial, did Chrissy really not hear Ryan? We were both asking that question.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly happened? And I don't know that we got any clarification on that, right?
No, we did not.
Except maybe at the end. So
I thought they'd talk more about it back at camp. I just felt like I wanted more on that.
Come back from commercial, and we're at the community/immunity challenge. So they've done this one before, where they have to balance on a narrow beam, and then they have to use a long pole to balance a statue that's tilted up on a wooden plank. So basically, they keep having to move further back where there's less to balance on for their feet. And then if the pole starts moving, it's easy to tip the little.
The further back you are, the harder it is.
The more magnified it is at the other end of the pole. Your small movements. Yeah. So it's a balance endurance challenge. Right away, Chrissy calls out that there's a bug crawling on her, and Probst tells us, the last time we did this, ants started crawling on people.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's probably what Chrissy went through was nothing like having those ants.
That looked like a little pincher or something, though. And I thought, that's so funny. She was blowing, like she was going to blow it off. You thought, that's not happening.
So Mike's out first is more than 2 seconds, but it wasn't really long in the scheme of things.
Mm-mm.
And Joe, Probst tells us, out of nowhere drops. I think Joe's throwing these. I don't think he's trying at this point, even though that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
The aptitude there seems like he would be able to deliver a little better result.
Well, you would think Devon would too, but he didn't.
Now, when it comes to Devon and Ryan and some of the others, they don't necessarily need to, but really they're probably counting on someone like Devon to beat Cole. But Devon went out very early.
And then Lauren.
Then we went through this big section where a lot of people were struggling. Ryan, you could see Ryan's heart
just
beating through his
that
ribs.
Was freaky.
That looked abnormal, right? Something.
Well, he's so thin. He probably has very little protection.
Yeah, but what do they call the muscle between your ribs? What is it that holds them together? I've strained mine many times doing endurance events, and it hurts like crazy.
Are you talking about the cartilage or the intercostal muscles?
Intercostals, that's what they're called. So I mean, he must have paper thin intercostals if you could see a lobe of his heart beating through there.
Yeah, that was a little bit freaky for me.
Yeah, it was definitely weird. Anyway, but he recovers, and then Lauren dropped and Ryan dropped. And then they move on to the second stage where there's even less to balance on for their feet.
10 minutes had passed.
And Ashley dropped just after that. And then we see Desi with the big foot wobble. She recovers. Ben wobbles, recovers. JP wobbles, wobbles and recovers. Cole wobbles and recovers. So they're playing up the drama there.
Yep. Then Chrissy, Ben, and Desi go out, and there's only Cole and JP left.
Mm-hmm.
And I so wanted Cole to drop, but that just didn't happen.
Didn't happen. JP made some more great, awesome recoveries, but in the end, he fell off. So
we knew we were out of getting points.
Contention, yeah. Now you start worrying about losing safe points.
Yeah. I wasn't too worried about my safe picks.
No, I was concerned with mine. I was trying to get some more points off some folks. So I had Ashley, Chrissy, Desi, and Ryan safe. So.
Oh, you had Desi safe.
Mm-hmm.
I did not put her safe. I just, that conviction.
Avoided the healers.
I know. I don't listen to myself, but oh well. I made a choice, and it was the wrong one again.
Yeah, Chrissy tells us in a quick confessional that, well, they need to choose from the 3 healers, so it'll either be...
They still got 3 to choose from.
Joe, Mike, or Desi. Joanne said at this point, it's Desi going. Okay, back at camp, day 21, folks are congratulating Cole on his win. Cole says he feels like he's on a sinking ship. Ben tells us, let's do it where the girls vote for Joe and the guys vote for Desi. Let's split the votes. Cut to a shark in the water. So it's one of the few sharks that we've seen this season in the animal shots. And then Ben and Chrissy and Ryan are having a chat.
And Cole tells Joe and Mike he does not have an idol.
Yep.
But if they split the vote, they could get someone out.
Yep, they can sway one of the hustlers, Joe tells them.
And Joe tells Devon and Ryan that, hey, Ben needs to get out.
And Ben sees that discussion.
Can't they see him over there? I mean, come on. That tree did not hide him.
Did seem a little obvious, but they were focused on what Joe was saying.
That's true, but come on.
And Ben, we got a confessional with Ben right after that. With Ryan right after that, saying, yeah, Ben can absolutely win. I just don't know if this is the time to act on him.
Yeah, he doesn't want to upset Chrissy, but that he doesn't want to sit with Ben in the idol. He's a Marine, a father. No, he doesn't want to sit with him at the end, which should mean he doesn't want to sit with Chrissy either, because she's a mother.
Yep, probably not his ideal there. Ben tells us that he knows Joe's trying to put the target on him. And now it's time for Joe to get Ben fired up. So he picks something that he knows will set him off and says, hey, folks are saying you swore on being a Marine and you're not keeping your word. And, of course, Ben just blows up at that point.
Yeah, Joe is good at that.
Yep.
He knows where your hot buttons are. But, as Ben said...
And he doesn't press just one of them. He waits for you to escalate, because he did this before with Alan.
And then he didn't do anything.
When Ben raised his voice. And so he, just like when Alan raised his voice and got hot under the collar.
Yeah.
So no need to yell.
Joe just kept winding him up, and sitting back, staying calm, so it looked like, I'm not the one yelling.
And Ben knew it, but he seemed a little helpless against it. So he said Joe pushed the right button for sure. Joe's a putz, and I want to get rid of him. Desi, poor Desi. She just has never had any traction really in the game other than when she's won immunity.
Trusting Joe's instinct. She said, well, it worked out well for me before, but I hope he knows what he's doing.
Yep, she knows it could backfire for sure.
Then, were you surprised about Lauren telling Ben about her advantage and that she wasn't going to vote? So the split's not going to work.
I guess I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was a little bit that we did get that there. But she's really playing the loyalty game, so she's going to lean heavily on that if she ever gets an opportunity to explain how and why she made her choices, or if she ends up on the jury, you can bet it'll be part of her rationale for her choice of questions.
Well, Ben's still worried that Joe has an idol. I don't quite follow that. but then he doesn't know Mike has one.
Right. And you get the sense that Ben hadn't been keeping in touch with Mike, given what Mike said, right? That Ben came to him because he needed him today.
Well, and were you surprised that he asked him to vote Joe?
No.
I kind of was.
Ben and Mike have had a connection.
They have.
I think Ben probably neglected it after forming the bigger, throwing in with the bigger alliance, with the Hustler Heroes Alliance.
Well, I was really afraid they were going to target Ben and he was going to go.
Yeah.
At this point, I was like, whoa,
Ben
now
was
I didn't
too.
see any of that coming.
Yeah, Mike said, well, this is my chance to get off the bottom there, and this could work out really well, or I could take out Ben, one of the biggest threats in the game. And then Ben said in a confessional right before Tribal Council, it's Russian roulette, and I just loaded the gun and pulled the hammer back. He's hoping it doesn't go off on him.
Yikes.
Yep.
Okay, Tribal Council.
Probst asked Joe about any heat, if things were heating up. And Joe took that opportunity to zero in on Ben again. He said, absolutely. And Ben's calling the shots.
And
It is
Ben's the
heating
biggest
up.
threat.
Yep.
And Ben.
Ben countered with, hey, it's a big alliance. And we're all knights of the round table when it comes to making decisions. That was a little hokey, but okay.
Well, Joe, what was it Joe said about the healers were strong until they let Ben.
Allowed Ben to cause chaos. Yeah. Ben couldn't let go of what Joe had said earlier. He's back to, hey, Joe said I swore on the Marines. I didn't do that. Joe tells him, I'm not pushing buttons, which is exactly what you do when you're gaslighting someone the way Joe is very good at. Yeah.
Well, I was really surprised. It sounded like Chrissy really jumped on Joe.
She did. She said, stop talking.
Nobody wants to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
And
at this point, at that tribal council, I was thinking, okay, it's going to be Joe. They're going to just go and make sure Joe goes. So that'll be fine.
Well,
and I don't have to worry about Desi being threatened.
And then
while I
Ashley
have her
speaks.
safe. Yeah? She did
Joe,
say something.
is Joe that good at this game? Or is he just that annoying?
Yeah, that good at aggravating. And Joe said, how about both? Because that would
That's
aggravate
part
her.
of me, like, Joe does entertain me occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then Ben talks about how vets have had to keep a cool head, when they're and that he's still having to work with anger issues, but then he apologized to Joe for allowing Joe to make him angry.
Yeah.
He's owning the angry, but he's like, I apologize to you for allowing you to get to me. I think he's somehow trying to own that was my anger and I own it. So I'm sorry for that. That I allowed you to do that.
Kind of a quasi-backhanded way of explaining
It
things.
was.
So it didn't come off
strange,
as well as he probably hoped, I guess. But he was still, basically, Joe had just relit that fire. Mm-hmm. And he was still steaming at that point.
Well, and maybe, we just got a part of the edit. We know tribal councils.
Do you think Ben, just before that happened, do you think Ben got a little worried by what Mike said? Mike talked about feeling betrayed. He was basically talking about he got betrayed by that second version of the Yahweh tribe.
Yeah.
Because Ben and Lauren turned on him.
Tribal.
Now, Mike didn't explicitly name them, but he sent a clear message to Ben. I thought that maybe that caused him to check himself a little bit.
Well,
and just before that, Desi had been talking about how there's truth and there's lies. And that depends on your point of view. And then she goes back afterwards and says, yeah, there's lots of liars here in the game.
Well, but she also said you have to decide where to draw that moral line, too.
And that's when Devon got a question, and he decided to talk about it being character and how the game stripped him down and made him a zombie, and he couldn't be the positive person that he wanted to be, and then he kind of lost his train of thought. And
then, what was the question, or what was I saying?
Probst rescued him and said, no, that's fine. You were totally on with what you were saying, and then Probst jumps in and goes, and this tribal council's been an amazing journey, and someone said it, a roller coaster, and the big questions.
I didn't. I thought, well, where is that? We didn't see.
I don't know that we saw the up and down, back and forth. Yeah, it was accusatory in the beginning, but we kind of missed Devon. If Devon was supposed to exemplify the kumbaya moment they had at the end, I didn't get it. So
I thought that Devon was just trying to answer Jeff well enough that Jeff didn't keep on him about something, trying to dig something out of him.
Right.
He didn't want to give anything up.
That's probably a decent card to play at any point. I'm so broken down by this game, I can't remember what I intended to say when I started.
Because they say, from all the people we've talked to, people have said over and over through the years that if Probst gets an idea that you're trying not to answer something, he's just like a dog with a bone. He won't let it go. So
the big question heading into the vote is, what's Lauren going to do? And she, sure enough, she tucks a secret advantage into the voting urn. Yes, she did excellent. She took
pulls it out of her bra, puts it in the urn, rolls it up, stuffs another one, good to go.
Right. That's where I was saying I thought that a woman had an advantage with how to deal with that, to hide it from the others. Because she had an easy way to hide it in her top there.
But a guy could just stick it in his waistband, no problem.
I don't think that's his normal emotion at that point when everyone's watching and people can see you as what she did.
I think they could hide that.
Okay. Well, there you are. We just look at it two different ways.
Might have been a little
so
easy.
No idols get played, and then we get the votes. There's one comes up for Ben. We were expecting that. One for Lauren. Was not expecting that.
Where did that come from?
Yep. Someone sending a message to her. And then we get 4 for Desi and 4 for Joe. So they tied. I was surprised to see the tie, weren't you?
Well, yeah. Since Lauren didn't vote.
Right.
It's like, whoa, wait a minute. Who flipped where? And then we realized, well, both Cole and Mike flipped.
Yes.
To come up with the 4.
Yep.
Now, Joe's not aware that Lauren didn't vote, so he knows at least one healer flipped. But he didn't know 2 actually did.
So when they tie like this, Probst tells us, okay, Desi and Joe can't vote. Now everyone else, you're going to re-vote, and you can only vote for either Desi or Joe.
So, of course,
at this point, I was convinced absolutely Joe was going to go.
Joe was going to go.
He didn't play an idol.
Yep.
Now here's their opportunity to get rid of the person that Chrissy had just told to stop talking. Who
and Ben
caused nothing
had
but
been
annoyance.
Arguing with.
Yeah.
And all of those things, and I just was like, what?
And before we talk about that real quick, what did you think about Lauren's fake vote for the second time?
Oh, she did that.
She did that good too.
That really well.
Just a little finger flick, and the empty parchment went off the back of the
we saw
pedestal
in the next
there.
one,
right?
She was quite proud of herself
too.
Yeah, I thought she did that really well, where nobody could see.
So they read the votes, and it comes out Desi, and I was a bit stunned.
Yeah,
surprised.
We both were. What?
How do you end up?
How do you not take
sending Desi to be first on jury when you had Joe? How do you not call an audible? If that's what you needed, if you're still voting down the lines, men vote for Desi and the women vote for Joe or whatever.
But they didn't, or they would have shown more votes for Joe.
How do you not? How did it end up being Desi over Joe? I'm still a little bit rocked by that.
I don't know. Other than I could honestly say, I think Desi's a bigger threat in individual challenges than Joe is.
Right.
But the annoyance
she hadn't
factor?
poisoned the well the way he had socially.
No.
So she was a much bigger threat down the road.
I guess they went with the physical threat. Though I just don't.
Well,
Joe's such a pot stirrer.
Yeah, the whole deal with pagonging the healers, which is essentially what's happening, right?
Yes.
And why leave someone who's that good at finding idols in the game?
Yeah.
It just seems like the deck was stacked to take Joe out, and they passed on it.
Stirring people up and just being overall,
right,
annoying. So I don't know. I didn't understand it at that point.
Yep.
I just didn't. I thought
you know who else didn't understand?
Vote for Joe.
Desi didn't understand. She wished him good luck, but she left crying. She was really
don't know who Desi is.
Hurt by that. Yeah, they didn't give us enough of Desi.
They just gave her such an invisible edit.
Mauve Desi. Yeah, she had a lot to offer, but it wasn't critical to the overall important story arcs in the game.
She did make the jury first on jury.
Yep. So we'll have a Ponderosa video to check out of her.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Okay, you ready to go on to next on Survivor? Anything else you want to say about the episode?
I'm still confused about Why?
I think it was a solid progression. I can look at it and see that. And yep, they're taking out the healers just like they wanted. But I was surprised and disappointed that it was Desi. That's where I am right now.
Yeah, when they had it clear and they knew Joe didn't have an idol or he would have already played it.
Yeah. The risk
In all
was gone.
likelihood, anyway.
Yeah.
I just didn't.
Yep.
But, okay. Next on Survivor, Lauren tells Ben she pulled that vote off so well, and her secret advantage is still in play.
Yep. Probst tells us that she is armed and dangerous now. And Ryan tells Ben that he has the idol. And then he tells Devon he has the idol and that Devon's the only one he's told, at which point Ben appears to promptly tell Devon Ryan has an idol.
And Devon...
So you were riding pretty high at this point, even though we were confused by
right
Desi.
up till the next
Now
one.
your pick to win everything.
Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan seems to be he might be in a bit of trouble.
Jeff said, loose lips sink ships.
Devon said in a blink of an eye, his game has completely changed. So...
Well, that could be a misdirect. I'm hoping anyway.
Yeah, you're hoping it is. I don't think so. Devon's going, it's not going to be my boy Ryan at the end. I got to find
Ryan's got to find
else.
a good lie that, Ben asked him and blah, 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 and he had to give it up. Or Ben saw something, or Ben
could be. It
questioned something.
Did not seem to end well for Ryan.
Hopefully, he will trust Ryan enough that he can win him back over.
Here's where I think, actually, Devon can differentiate his game. And I do believe he has some game. I don't think he's had some focus, right? But he could drop Ryan at this point.
Well, sure. So, and Ryan seems to be pretty quiet, except with Chrissy, laying back a little. Though the whole finding the idol thing was awesome. But anyway.
So you had your own little roller coaster going on with this episode, didn't you?
I did. I did. That was like, Ryan.
It's like, yay.
Yeah, want to.
And, oh, no. He may be on his way out.
Well.
His arc may have
The
peaked.
one thing we didn't talk about was Joe telling Desi before she left, I didn't flip on you, baby girl.
Good thing to do, even if you did.
He knows. He was aware then. He'd already counted up the numbers. Somebody on the Healers flipped.
Sure.
To make that work.
To what end? But I thought that was really good jury management, just bottom line.
Yep.
There's a jury vote, and you're still in the game, so...
Still think their vote was nuts.
The thing about Joe is he's already taught you can't trust him, so...
Oh, yeah.
Anything else from next time on Survivor?
I just felt bad for Desi, and, she was so upset, and she says she's not used to losing.
Okay.
It's not in her
It wasn't quite
wheelhouse,
as endearing, but okay.
I don't know. I don't know. You
can't win
like
at everything.
That
was an odd thing to say.
I know, but she got such a... I think she might have got a little gypped on her edit, but I guess... She wasn't.
She just wasn't critical to the important story arcs. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it does happen that way.
But she is on the jury. So
how about a JSFL update? How's our fantasy league going?
Okay. DSR is back in first place with 39 points. 33 people lost their USB. I forgot to. I'll do that on Saturday. I forgot to tally who had the new. How many people chose each person. There were 107 people who lost a safe point, Stacy.
Yeah.
19 people who gained the 2-point vote off / first on jury.
I think that was a surprise to a lot of people for Desi to go, but good for the 19.
Yeah, that's right. And as far as the side challengers, Parker is still in first with 35 points. With 34, Jody and Rick. 33, Nina. 32, Brandon, Colt, Mike, Jeremiah, and Kitty Cat. With 31, Jonathan. With 30, Drew and Stacy.
All right.
With 29, Iron Dave and James and Shannon.
There we go. Okay. I'm kind of holding steady there, huh? Not a lot of change.
Yeah, you dropped down a little.
No, I was second from the bottom last week.
You were?
Yeah, I've been for a while.
Oops.
Well.
Okay, so is this going to be...
It's all about not... it's about not losing, not
that's
being first.
Well, we all know that you win or lose in the finale. That's you got major big points that are available
Yep.
there.
Yep.
So it ain't over till it's over.
Right.
Okay, so do you think we're going to have a 3-person finale
Sure.
with 8 jury members, or a 2-person finale with 9 jury members?
8 and 3.
Okay.
Probst, just like we
kinda
said
think
last
so,
week,
too.
Probst doesn't like the 2-person.
He doesn't like 2-person but
finale,
Doesn't mean they
so-
won't throw something in there occasionally.
Right.
To
And there's been
surprise
lots of
us.
surprises this season.
That's true. So you never know. But they've done 8 before with a 3-person, right?
I believe so, yeah. And, there's
I don't know what season
they
Mike
got
can
plans.
tell us, but
They had plans for how to handle ties, so it doesn't really matter. All right, we're excited to hear what you thought about this episode, who you ended up choosing for your new USB, all those who made new choices, and why you chose who you chose, and what you think about that choice after this episode. For some of us, like maybe someone pivoted to Desi, that invariably happens. You pivot to the person who gets voted out that episode. Yeah, so that probably happened to somebody. And then, of course, there are some new choices, who you hope is going to be there and who you think's playing the best game at this point. Why you think they may have chosen Desi over Joe. I'm looking forward to some extra videos or something maybe in the discussion with Desi tomorrow when we get to interview her that'll clue us into what's going on there. Because
you know what's
still a little lost there.
interesting to me
What's that?
is I don't see a clear front runner.
Yeah, you don't think it's Chrissy?
No,
I think you're supposed to think it's Chrissy and Ben
no.
and Ryan.
I don't know about that.
Well, not Ryan so much now.
But,
And Ben's been wrangling
Ben's
and
been
potentially.
all over the place.
He has, although at the beginning of this episode they made it look like it was his and Lauren's call to get rid of Jessica. So that feeling that we had after
Yeah.
episode 7 that he was in trouble, they're trying to tell you at the beginning, episode 8, no, he was actually the one calling the shot.
Well, my thought is if Ben gets any inkling of how tight Ryan and Chrissy are, he's gonna pull in Dr. Mike and Lauren as his
You know who probably knows
Tight three.
how tight they are?
who?
Devon,
Why would Devon know?
because he's close to Ryan. He's probably the next closest. He might be watching for that.
Well, if he tells Ben about Ryan gave her, saved her,
Right.
because Ben knew about that, right? Her advantage. Didn't she tell him about that?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I
Sorry.
don't remember either. I have to go back and look because, wow, we can't even remember the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Oy.
Well, I definitely enjoyed the episode. We look forward to hearing what you thought about it. The voicemail line, 206-350-1547. The email, Joanne and Stacy Show @gmail.com. There's also a toll-free version of the voicemail line if you need it. It's a quick and easy way to get some audio content into the listener feedback show. The toll-free number, 844-643-8737. You can always find that at the website, GETSFP.com. Whether you record your own, call the voicemail, or write it up, try to keep it in that 3-minute time range so that we can get everybody in. We've had some just amazing listener feedback shows this season. Lots of humor, lots of good ideas, different perspectives on things. We love it when you bring your life's filter on what you're seeing in terms of these events and allow us to see the game through your eyes and see some different aspect of it that neither Joanne or I actually covered. So we look forward to hearing from you. Get that in noon Pacific time on Saturday.
I'm really surprised that Cole won immunity. I didn't think he could do it.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I really didn't.
Yeah, what do you think about
That's why I
Cole's
went ahead and
immunity
chose
win?
him. I thought, oh, he can't win immunity. And I'm really interested to hear what the other fans have to think about. Who do they see as front runners and the possibilities of new alliances?
Yep, we always have some little questions to prime the pump there that are on the website and the show notes for each episode that we put out there that you can find at GetSFP.com, GETSFP.com. Anything else you want to add?
Nope, I think we covered it.
Have a good one.